Hello, everyone. We're going to have Chuck come on from the COO Forum in just a second, but so glad that you were with us today to talk about embracing conflict and reducing friction in our organizations. And I want to share a resource with you that has inspired this entire conversation today. I read this book recently that I think you're going to love. That feeds into this, as well as my experience coaching lots of executives, including our COOs here on the call today. But I'll share that with you in a minute. We got a lot of great learning. But first, I want to invite in our host. Chuck, you coming in, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you, Stefanie. Welcome, COO Forum members and guests. Thank you for taking 60 minutes of your time today to learn and grow as leaders. I've adopted a saying that says, if you stop learning as a leader, you stop being a leader. So thank you. Just a few programming notes. First, a big thank you to John Palinkas at the Institute for Digital Transformation for putting on this event for us today. Much appreciation there. At the end of the discussion, please stick around if you've enjoyed the talk from Stefanie to learn more about our upcoming Executive Change and Leadership Cohort beginning April 17th. You don't want to miss out on that. Lastly, let's make this an active learning event. Please engage our presenter today with responses and questions, and let's keep the energy flowing. We like energy at the COO Forum, so let's keep it flowing today. All right, let's get started. So I'm very happy to introduce Stefanie Krievins, president and founder at The Change Architects. Stefanie is an expert at guiding and leading organizations and executives through strategic change initiatives. She's helped transform over 150 companies of different sizes and types. She's developed a change architecture framework that eliminates the tired phrases that nobody likes change and change is difficult. So hopefully at the end of this discussion, you will no longer use those phrases. So I hope you're ready to change your perspective on change. And with that, Stefanie, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. I got to have you follow me around. That's a heck of an introduction. Thank you so much. My friends, my COO friends listening in, I was just realizing as I was preparing for today that this is kind of our 1-year friendiversary. Josh Reneker had me speak at a Indianapolis group a little over a year ago, and that was kind of my first introduction to the wonderful executives at the COO Forum. And since then, we've done a lot of great work together, including their annual conference last year, as well as this Leading Change cohort. We're now on to cohort number 2, which I'm going to share with you here at the end. But part of the reason it kind of cracks me up is because, and I'll never forget it, is I had just adopted a little boy at the end of December. And right before he came, which he kind of came as a little surprise, speaking of lessons in agility, flying to Florida last minute notice to get a baby. But he came last minute December. My presentation with the Indianapolis COO group was virtual, thank goodness. And it was in February. And February was I kind of took over responsibility for his care because my husband went back to work full time. And normally he just slept during the day. Except, of course, when I had to give my first presentation of the year, he was not sleeping when I was with my Indianapolis COOs. And so they got a glimpse of my baby Lincoln as I was holding him at like 6 weeks old right here. And that was a first in my professional life. And they were very graceful about it. And it was a great conversation. But I'm sure I had bags under my eyes and everything else. But I will never forget that moment, that grace, and my Lincoln's first experience into a business workshop. So I'm sure he has many up ahead, but that always cracks me up when I think about meeting COO Forum, their grace, and continuing to have me back. Yes, Josh was there. He was a great participant. Yeah. And he's still just as mouthy. Sometimes for fun, because you're supposed to talk to your kids, I tell them how to write emails, how to write business appropriate emails. So he is well on his way to synergizing and efficiency and all the things in the business world. All right, with that, let's get into embracing conflict, reducing friction. We'll get that slide deck up there for you. Conflict accountability and change are three of my favorite topics to train on. Gives you really clear insight into what a weirdo I am. But the reality is these are three topics that I think our teams, as individuals, as organizations, we struggle the most with because they feel nebulous, they feel weird, we don't know how to tackle them. And I love to share these tried and true and oftentimes counterintuitive frameworks to address them, to give leaders like you very clear processes to follow to make change easier, to make accountability into the entire organization, not just sitting on our executive shoulders. And then conflict, because there is actually a healthy amount of conflict organizations need to produce the right results. So for our key takeaways for today, here's what I have queued up for us. I want to talk about why resistance is inevitable in any type of change. I know you feel resistance on the daily from those reporting to you, from your peers. You have great ideas you're trying to implement. Heck, maybe you're probably resisting, ideas and change initiatives that are coming at you. That's a-okay, but it is also futile. And I will show you why. And I will show you why it's necessary, but it's also solvable. It's workable. It's a workable process. And what to do with those who refuse to let go of their resistance. Then we're going to talk about the obstacles to change and why they matter. I feel like getting really detailed into what exactly is stopping your change is helpful for then creating the right intervention to overcome that. This is inspired by a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I've been digging into some stoicism lately. So if you're also a stoicism nerd like me, wonderful book. Also inspired some Star Wars, part of the storyline of Star Wars too. The use of power to drive change. We tend to think of power as a dirty word, and it's actually an unbelievably I want to say powerful word, but that's probably not helpful. It is an essential tool to drive change in your organization and as a force for good. And I'll talk about the multiple types of power. I understand why you might think they're icky to use, but when applied appropriately, they create leverage in your organization. Oh, thank you, John. Yes, Obstacle is the Way. Fabulous book. Then we're going to talk about how to use conflict constructively. I'm in the Midwest. I work with a lot of Midwest nice people. We have this like physical aversion to conflict, and it stymies our growth as people, as teams, as organizations. Then we're going to talk about, if you love this content, I want to give you more of it. And that's through our Leading Change cohort number 2 that starts in April. Then, of course, we'll talk about next steps. All right. So first question for you today. And this is inspired. Here's your first resource, because I love to share the resources. I'm actually second because I shared the book, The Obstacle is the Way. This book, I just started reading it. I'm almost all the way done with it. And every single page is like, oh, yes, 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 yes. The book is called The Friction Project. Absolutely phenomenal. And the reason it has stuck with me in all my years of change and conflict and what does it take to get people to change their behaviors, to get new results, friction is the thing that steps up at every single step of the way. And I feel like my current thesis is that friction is why change feels hard. Doesn't mean change is hard. It feels hard. That's why we say no one likes change. It's because there's friction, which is a source of conflict. And the thesis of this book is, as leaders, your job is to create friction in good ways that create sparks and ignite things, but also eliminate the friction that grind the right things to a halt. And so here's a great example, because I'm hosting a baby shower on Sunday. And I don't know about you, but I'm very close to being addicted to Costco. Like, I love that place. I was there last night to order a sheet cake. Now, Costco has intentional friction when it comes to ordering their cakes. Can you imagine how many people would order cakes if you could just go online, fill out the form, and have it ready the next day? That's a ton of cakes. I doubt they have the staffing capacity to keep up with that. And they also have some technology adoption and upgrade issues that they've been working through over the years. But They have intentional friction. That intentional friction in their buying process is you have to go to the store to order your cake. And I don't think you can do a same-day pickup. You fill out a paper form, you write on it old school, right? And so I'm writing this message on there and I'm like, oh man, I hope they can read my handwriting. But that is intentional friction to slow down the ordering of their cakes. And I'm sure, I would guess, for capacity reasons, right? And so I thought that's a wonderful example of friction applied in a business case that serves their need and still's allowed me to get my cake. I got to do a little bit more planning ahead than what most of 2025 allows for nowadays with technology. And it gets me in the store not once to pick up the cake, but twice. Friction, 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 friction. All right. So my question for you, and then I'm going to ask you this from another perspective. So put this in chat for me. What makes it hard to do your job? Is it endless meetings? Is it a sense that everything is always changing all of the time? What makes it hard for you to do your job? Is it you need to order office supplies? Is that still a thing? I feel like I'm stuck in 1995 here. I love office supplies. You need to order office supplies and your company has a 15-step process. You're like, man, can I just get a box of pens, please? Put those answers in chat. I would love to hear from you. Noise. Josh, tell us, what is the noise? I have a sense of what that is, but maybe a little bit more detail about what the noise is. And when I hear that word, while Josh is thinking on that, sharing that with the group, yeah, noise. Yep. Here's what I hear with that. It's, yep, other people's fire, right? They didn't plan ahead. So then all of a sudden their emergency is your emergency. Or they don't know enough about their job to plan ahead. That is also a thing. That's a skill development issue. The noise that I experience on teams oftentimes is you have a meeting, the decision is made, but not enough clarity is made about the decision. And so people go off to do the work and they confuse it even more. Workers deviating from established processes, absolutely. Noise. Like, we created this process for a reason. Now, I want to flip that perspective for a second. Think about the lowest person in your org. Yes, David, priorities not in alignment across team and team members. Oh, y'all, if you want a high-performing organization, strategic alignment, breaking down silos, having goals match up across departments. Ooh, magic, ninja level activity for our organizations. All right, now I want you to answer this question from another perspective. Think about some of the lowest roles in your organization, those with the least amount of institutional power, lowest titles in the org chart: coordinator, specialists. How would they answer this question? What makes it hard for them to do their job? If you were in their shoes, how would they answer this question? Put those answers in chat for me. While you're thinking, I'll share some of the ones that I hear on a routine basis from individual contributors, frontline supervisors. Things are changing all of the time. And so I feel like I've got whiplash because every day there's a new priority from our executives. Too many channels of input on their to-do list. Yes, people can get to them in too many ways to add work to their plate. Delayed decisions and indecisions. Yes. I one time worked with a fintech organization. Yes, waiting on decisions and approvals. Inside the organization, whenever there was supposed to be cross collaboration between departments, they didn't have mechanisms to make decisions together. So I had to go up to the vice president or C-suite or EVP at the top of their org chart and then back down. Never did the dots get connected inside the organization. What was the executive's complaint? We're too slow. Did they feel that as well? Yes, we're too slow. Everyone was frustrated by being too slow. That's why I teach on power, because we need power in the organization in the right kind of way so we can connect the dots into the org structure versus making all the information go up and back down. Poor time management? Absolutely. Another skill